Okay, so the first move is, you know, at the very beginning when the girl puts her hand up, she spins in and then she's twisted back and forth. I'm looking at that specific movement. So men, sort of building on what we were doing, what we were talking about earlier, but really focusing on just the dance now. Is there a way that you make her turn? Like, what do you do? Is it pressure? Do you feel like it's more about her responsibility to stand on the balls of her feet? Do you think you could turn her if she wasn't adapting?
That's definitely a partner thing. Like, we need the girl to actually put some tension in her shoulders. So if we twist her hands, we twist her whole body. Mm-hmm. So if she doesn't do that,
that's me.
We have some experience that is really hard.
No, I really struggled for that movement because I didn't understand that I had to be on my toes the whole time. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't move. Igor tried to move me for many times at the beginning, and I was so stiff. I was like, no. So yeah.
Okay, so do you feel almost, if you are on the balls of your feet and if you're in the right position, if you're being turned, do you feel as a woman you could almost stop yourself being turned? If you're on the balls of your feet and you're, you know, if you're standing the way that you should be standing, whatever, for the dance, do you feel almost forced to move?
I think sometimes you can be led more smoothly.
Yeah.
Or not. Sometimes it can be quite just being turned everywhere. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes, going back to if you're on 5, 6, 7, there's obviously a certain way. There's a way you should turn first, based on the order that your feet should be on 5, 6, 7, and then that can sometimes throw you off if you've actually been turned in a different direction than the way that you've naturally had to step.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you can't get control of your move. I mean, if you don't want to do it, you are not going to do it. But it's not going to look nice.
Okay.
Just relax your shoulders, and then the guy will twist your arms and he'll just do this. You won't go anywhere.
So it's almost, when it works, you flow, and you're almost pulled to do the move. But if you want to object, Nefeli, you're saying almost put your feet down, and Amy, you're saying, or someone said you just don't, you don't make your body rigid. So you can object, but there's a risk of looking quite silly.
Yes, you would look very bad. Not just quite silly. You wouldn't be doing the move. You would be stopping, let's say, the flow of the dance.
It's like if there's not enough tension or too much tension, you've got to just kind of have the right amount between you, because it's a kind of push and pull. You've got to work together.
Okay, so moving on to the next move. This is, I called it the cat and mouse move, but I think in class we called it the flaps, where you basically go flap, flap, arm, arm. And I've got different questions for guys and girls. So girls, basically, how do you feel when you're doing that move?
It felt very nice, like going around circles around the guy, and it was very graceful for me. It was nice, but I always had to be on time to do that. It was really, really important to count and do everything in time, because then it would look again really bad.
Okay.
It's quite quick, that bit. And also after the first turn, on the second turn, in order to do those spins that quickly, you're dependent on the guy like keeping hold of you and moving you in the right direction. There's no way with that many spins at that pace that we could do that. We could get through that move by ourselves. Whereas, like I said before, simple moves you can kind of do without much help. But this is one where I feel like I really need the man to lead me. Otherwise, I'll just spin off course.
Okay. Do you feel almost out of control? You said you're moving around in circles quite fast, going back and forth.
With the arms as we were, because they were kind of up and down, it's hard to have a stable core. So I feel like I could just spin out or lose balance really quickly if I wasn't being guided in the right direction by the man. Okay,
and that's basically, you actually led me to exactly what I wanted to ask the guys, that when you are almost moving the girl round and round, do you feel in control, or is it the opposite, that you feel like she's going to spiral off somewhere?
Totally feel control, and I feel that she needs it, especially when it's the last part. She moves in circles in the last beat. You just push her so she turns. If you don't get her right after she turns, she's gonna fall. For sure.
Yeah, no, it's like, once again, it's like hand placement. So when you spin the girl, you still catch her at the end of it, so she doesn't go spiraling off. So if you're not in full control, it's not going to look good. It's not going to work as a move.
Just like that, if you stop her,
Yeah.
you feel that if your hand wasn't there, she's gonna go.
Yeah, you feel a responsibility to make sure that nothing, like that basically you don't push her over.
Do you feel almost like it could be a dangerous move? Like, so you said you have to be careful to catch her so she doesn't go off spinning. So you're doing it, and if it works, it looks great. But because you've got that responsibility, you're moving her around. Is there a danger that it could look bad?
Well, there are quite a lot of spins at that point, so a danger that it could look bad.
Or a danger go wrong. She'll fly off.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, and you're not paying attention to what she's doing, and you just go through the motions, then it's not. Especially if you're in like a busy room, like if you're dancing freestyle in, let's say a salsa club in London, they're very packed, and so if you're spinning the girl to the side, if you don't catch her, she's going to go straight into another couple dancing. So you've got to be cautious of like your surroundings as well.
Yeah. Especially because one of the basic foundations of salsa, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and also the girl has to go in the line.
Yeah, for crossbody.
Yeah, with this foundation. So if you don't get her, she probably won't get off this line. So it's something that's not good to see.
Okay, and then if we move on now, throw. If you want to, there's sort of two moves but really close together. The bit where the girl goes through the guy's legs, and then the bit where she stands at the front and almost stops for, I think it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just the first half of a count. She stands still. Well, both people stand still. So firstly, the bit through the legs. Again, do you feel a dependence on each other when you're doing it?
Oh, definitely. You would have hit your head if the guy doesn't.
Well, I'm not sure the guy feels dependent on me. I feel dependent on. He's just standing there.
Not really standing. He's putting all of his tension and.
Yeah, but he can stand up without me.
Guys feel fairly responsible at that point because you've got to look after the girl. You don't want to throw them in front, but at the same time you don't want to collapse forward and drop them. So
that's a dangerous move, actually. This one is quite dangerous, especially if you're doing it on stage.
Near the edge.
Of people.
Especially if you've got short legs and a high hairstyle.
I mean, that's the thing. Do you feel like you both actually have fears, but for different reasons? So you mentioned, Ben, that there's the responsibility, and Amy, you said about your hairstyle. Do you ever worry that you're just not going to make it through?
More, not usually in terms of like space, but no, because actually I think the men, it's more when I like pop up that I need the help, because I have to. I won't be able to complete the move unless I like take the leap of faith and put in my own momentum in the first place. I think what the guy then does is then control that initial momentum.
Okay. So do you feel almost, assuming that there's trust between the partners, do you feel almost quite safe, like you're being looked after, and if you put your momentum in and he puts his part in, it will work perfectly?
Yeah, I think that's how it works perfectly.
Okay, and then the bit as you come through, would you agree almost it's quite like a jolt, that you're suddenly standing there, and then do you need that to get over the going through the legs part? Is it like a moment where you have to just stop, collect yourself and go again, or?
I think I could probably go into another move at that point, but I think those stops there basically for everyone. When you're in a routine, it's there for everyone to compose themselves, and so that everyone can be in time with each other, rather than if it was just one couple. I think you could probably carry it.
I thought it was quite jolty actually, because once you've pulled them through the legs,
to be in time with the music, you have to be in the right place at the right time, and then you've got the count of like 1, 2, 3 before you go into the next bit of the routine. So it's kind of, you've got to be there at the right time, otherwise it's going to look really bad if you're pulling, one couple's pulling the girl through the legs, and then another couple does it a second after. It's not going to look good unless...
It's a good moment, a pause moment, because it's one of the kind of bigger moves in the middle of the routine. I think the beginning and the end are quite, showy, but it's the kind of one move in the middle of the routine that's a bit showy, and I think having a pause there also kind of highlights that move to the audience.
Yeah, they appreciate it
Okay.
more.
And the
What
music
they see,
dropped
yeah.
as well. Like
Yeah.
there was a pause in the music for 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then for me it was kind of like, we did the introduction and then it was like bang, like here we are. And then kind of the rest of the dance, it was like an exclamation point for everyone to look up and be like, oh, damn.
Okay, I quite like that.
Jade's really good.
Wink to the dictaphone. Yeah, so that's quite interesting that you were saying that you almost need, for the full dance to look good, you need the jolt, but individually it's fine. You could just carry on by yourself, but for the whole piece to look good, then you need the jolt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fab. So then moving on to the next one, and then we're at the end. The bit where the woman is almost, she looks like she's trapped in the guy's arms. You know, when you walk like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Basket.
Yeah, that move. Similar question. Do you think, like, men, so looking at the dance from an audience perspective, it looks like you're really in control of the women. Do you feel in control at that point? Because it's quite...
Definitely.
You do feel in control.
I do feel in control.
Well, if you don't want to let go of them, you don't have to, if you know what I mean, like, you do have them in quite firm holds. Like, they're not going to be able to get out easily if you don't want them to.
It's something that if I don't read it properly, she's not going to do it well. So, I felt that when I was learning this part. So if I didn't actually lead her with my forearm, my whole body to actually make her do the move, she will not do it properly. It will be looking good.
And yeah, but then when you were doing that move, if you didn't open your hand so that she could get out of the move, you could be continuously doing that move. So they are quite in control in that move.
More physically in control because they're, I don't know, like holding you in a more closed position.
Okay.
I quite like it. It feels like a hug.
A hug.